Yeah, then it comes to be that the soothing
Light
light
at
at
the
the
end
end
of
of
the
your
tunnel.
tunnel.
Oh, fuck. Lars is going to sue us for everything we
Everyone's
own.
feeling real great right now.
I think we fucked up the lyrics though, so it's not the same thing.
Like some nice heavy stouts at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Woo!
It's like a beer fest day.
I don't think I've gone to a beer fest that started before noon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Spring weekend?
Didn't have a spring weekend.
It's a shame.
Welcome to the Purgatorious Pig Tavern podcast, the Dungeons and Dragons and craft beer drinking podcast. Welcome to week 2 of the beer draft. This week we will be doing stouts. Quick recap from last week, which was IPA week. Myself is in first place with 141 points out of 160. I did use a flex spot, so that's why my score is high. Christina is in second place with 132 points. She also used a flex spot last week. In third place is Eric at 71 points. Cole in fourth at 69.
Nice.
Feeling Randy there?
And in fifth place is Aaron with 68.
Oh, I'm only 1 point behind you, Cole. I thought
Yeah,
I was
I know.
much lower than that. Sweet.
Bottom 2, let's go.
So this week is Stout Week.
I'm very excited for Stout Week.
Yeah, this is probably our group's second favorite style of beer between IPAs. So we definitely went heavy IPAs and stout. So yeah, we have 2 players flexing this week as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be almost all level in terms of maximum number of points after this week.
Except me.
Except for Erin, who will need to decide when she's going to pull the trigger and flex in one of the later rounds. Just as a quick reminder on how this is going to work. We're going to go through the order the beers were drafted. Everyone's going to say kind of something quick about it. They'll jot down their scores. And then at the end, we'll go do an overall tally of the scores so we don't influence each other as we rate the beers.
Cool.
Yeah. So, to start us off, Christina, your pick, which was picked at the 4th pick of the first round, Big Bad Baptist from Epic Brewing. Can you tell us why you chose it?
I picked Big Bad Baptist from Epic Brewing. It's, I think, one of their best beers, one of their most known beers, and I wanted to make sure we got Epic in here in the draft, just represented because they're a great brewery. So I chose the regular Big Bad Baptist Imperial Stout. Something cool about Bad Baptist is ever since 2017, they've done different variations. They have kind of like a entire theme or whatever that they go through for the year, not a theme, but like a series of them, that because they think, this beer is too good that you can never have just one stout. So just to give an idea of 2016, so they had the Brewmaster's Keep as one option. Then they did a blueberry pie. They did a coquito. They did a chocolate caramel sea salt, a s'mores, and a Naked Baptist, which is just the straight stout, the bourbon barrel-aged stout. So plenty of options out there to try, but today we will be rating Big Bad Baptist Imperial Stout, which is the regular one that has coffee and cocoa nibs, hints of that.
Yeah, and if you ever make your way to Salt Lake City, Utah, or Denver, Colorado, definitely try to stop in because the beers Christina just mentioned are the ones they're showing online, but they always have limited releases. So they'll have crazy things like red velvet, carrot cake. They'll have some wild things like the blueberry is kind of a different one. They'll throw in some fruits. It gets pretty wild, but it's cool. And
They did some spicy one, I think, at one point too.
I think it's worth mentioning. Did you say in Denver? Epic is in Denver?
Well, yeah, it's not yet. We go to the brew house in Denver. They have one in Denver here.
So they actually hail from both Salt Lake City, Utah, and Denver, according to their the can I'm looking at. Not their brewery is located in both, so they're brewing in both locations.
Is that because of the laws in Utah?
I don't know. It could be, but I know they brew in Utah. But they do a lot of brewing here too, so.
I mean, they have a lot of brewing at their facility here in downtown Denver, over in
Yeah. We went there once. It was really nice.
it's off
Yeah,
of
it's really
Larimer.
cool.
I'm blanking.
Down in Rhino or up in Rhino?
Up in Rhino, yeah.
Yeah.
But the laws in Utah are like you can't sell beer that's greater than like 4.5% or something
Yeah.
outside of your brewery. So they can brew this stuff in Salt Lake City, but they can't distribute it.
I think it's yeah, you can't sell it between the hours of 8:15 p.m. and
You say in Connecticut?
1 p.m.
I know, like the whole state, with the exception of like Park City, is has really stringent rules. Kind of crazy how one religion can control an entire state. But
Cut that.
Yeah. So this we're coming in really strong here with an 11.5%.
Is there a difference between the one we have and the one you have?
There shouldn't be. Yours is just the regular Big Bad Baptist, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see that bottle.
Can I verify? Yeah, I think it's their regular one.
Yeah, you're
Their
right.
base.
the original.
The OG.
You cannot see through this beer. It is just
Mud water.
no mud water because there are muddy stouts and they're not
I
really
guess that's true.
appealing. This is like a pure black with a little bit of leg.
You definitely tell this was aged in bourbon barrels.
Mm-hmm.
It does have that slight alcohol finish of
Yeah.
a bourbon barreled beer.
I think ours is a little cold right now. If it warmed up, it would be hit the spot.
Oh, is yours guys
Yeah.
warm?
No.
Oh.
All of the rest of our stouts are sitting out to come up in temperature a little bit from the fridge, but since this is the first one, it hasn't come up.
Oh.
If we were doing this scientifically, we would be measuring our temperature and making sure that we were all drinking at the same temperature.
We should do that in future episodes.
Yeah.
Oh man, get super scientific about it.
We'll get separate beer fridges and set them all to the right temperature.
Well, we could probably already do that. We have our 2 beer fridges.
I think we all have the same fridge, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
the one that was sacrificed to the beer gods 3 times over or 2 times over for your kegerator.
Yeah.
We don't speak of this.
Luckily, most of that was free.
That was like a point in our relationship where it's like it could fall apart right now,
Yeah.
or we could stay together and never speak of this again.
Now we stay together and speak of it all the time. It's hilarious.
The perfect DIY kegerator.
It is hilarious. Just the fact that the free online is just in a random location. You know, they don't have any positional tolerance on it whatsoever. They're just like, and you guys hit it twice.
No, we took the first fridge that we killed and we drilled holes in the side of it and we missed the line every single time. We're like, all right, we're just going to figure out where the lines are. So we cheese grated the side of it and we're like, all right, now we know where they're not. And then the first time we went in to the next fridge, it hit it again.
Hit it the very first
in a
immediately,
spot that it wasn't.
Oh, uh-oh.
Anyway, but this is delicious.
This is
Nice.
delicious.
It's
man.
dry. It's a little bit dry.
It is a little dry.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the cocoa nibs, though, because cocoa is. Or I was thinking bitter, actually. It's a little bitter to me, but I think that's the cocoa nibs.
You get the cocoa nibs like at the back of your tongue at the end, I think. Or at least I did.
I think. I think.
What do I know?
Way to
Maybe.
double down.
That's good stuff.
No, Scott's over here. He just slammed it.
Pounding it, yeah, jeez.
That's right. I forgot Scott doesn't like bourbon barrel-aged beers. He'd rather just have the bourbon.
No, it's not that I don't like bourbon barrel aged beers. It's finding that balance where that's not all you're tasting.
Right.
Mm.
Oh, yeah. Okay, that's fair. 'Cause there are some that are like, wow, I might as well have just had a bourbon.
Right. This one is definitely not a bad offense of that. You do, as I said, you get a bit of the alcohol, but it's not like all you taste.
Yeah.
That offensive. He said, wow, I'm offended.
Ow, my mouth.
How much whiskey did you put in this? Want to do a little rinse?
Yeah.
Oh, you're already there? Oh, man.
Paranoid. You guys got your scores in?
Yep. All right. The next one, chosen with the last pick in round 2. This is Scott's pick. North Coast Brewing's Old Rasputin. Take it away, Scott.
Yeah, so this is an imperial, Russian imperial stout. This was probably one of the first stouts I had that wasn't Guinness.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just
Wow.
went for it, and it was absolutely delicious. It hits all the right notes for what an imperial stout should be. One of the OGs of imperial stouts. It's been around since I've been drinking craft beer. So
Yeah. Oh, you guys get this out there, right?
Yeah, we got it. We got it in bottles.
Yeah, this is the first time I'm seeing it in cans. Be curious to see how that changes the flavor profile, if at all.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about having one of these last night. I was between this and an Arrogant Bastard, and I ended up having an Avery Tweak instead.
That makes perfect sense.
Excellent.
I remember the first time I had this beer very distinctly.
I remember my first beer.
I remember my first beer.
This specific beer. And my sister got an apartment, her first apartment, and had stocked up on this beer and offered me one when I went to visit.
Christina looks skeptical.
Is it supposed to have like a bitter aftertaste?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm like.
Oh
It
no.
came from more of like it came from like a sweeter, kind of creamier-ish stout to
A really roasty.
right.
Yeah.
I think that was like a huge shock for my taste buds.
They definitely pushed the boundaries of burning the malt on this stout.
They also added cilantro to Christina's.
Oh, we love cilantro. That'd be a bonus.
Actually love cilantro too.
Christina tastes it. She goes, "This is really bad."
I did not say that. No, I said, "Is this bad?" I wasn't sure if the can
I'm
went
pretty
bad.
sure they taste the same.
I wasn't sure if.
Yeah,
the
when you
can...
get a bottle, we could do a side by side.
Outside of Christina saying this was bad beer, does anyone have any other thoughts about the beer?
Sorry.
This reminds me of the original stouts that I was having at the beginning of my craft beer days. North Coast has been around for a long time. I think 90s, maybe earlier. Maybe
Oh,
80s.
yeah.
I don't know if they're that old, but they're one of the, like Scott said, the OGs. And the dryness at the end reminds me a lot of what the stouts were like back then. Real dry, real roasty, almost coffee-like.
Mm-hmm.
Independent since 1988.
Yeah!
Ooh.
Called it.
And before that, they were dependent on something.
Since 1987.
Mother Russia?
No.
Yeah, no, this kind of hits a little like another dry stout, but with all the flavor. It's not like an Irish stout. Irish stouts tend to be a little lighter on the palate. This has like a full body flavor, and it's really good. Comes in, I think we said 9% earlier. You don't taste the alcohol, or at least I don't taste the alcohol, which is nice.
Yeah, it's just roasty.
Yeah, it's just very roasty. They do push the limits on a burnt malt.
The guy who runs Zox Homebrewing in Willimantic, Connecticut, would always say, a little bit of a speech impediment. He would always be like, "Oh, it's real roasty." But he said it in such a weird way that me and my buddy John, we would go in to get ingredients for brewing, and he'd be like, "Oh, it's a roasty stout, huh? Yeah, it's real roasty."
Real roasty.
I hope he still says it like that.
Hopefully.
You okay over there?
Yeah?
It's already hit. See, I told you this would hit harder than the last one.
It's not even 11 a.m. right now.
Did you guys eat breakfast or something before you started this endeavor, at least?
Yeah, Cole made eggs and waffles and sausage, and we had fruit.
That's pretty good.
Oh, yeah, that's like at a beer fest. They have the waffle station.
It doesn't necessarily help much, but at
We
least we
ate
had some
DeBella
food.
sandwiches.
Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. And then
I didn't know
chugged
Cabela's made sandwiches.
I chugged a liquid IV before this started. Also, not a sponsor.
Oh, I had
Currently consuming Noons.
0 water,
Not a sponsor.
Good as hell.
coffee, and a salad. So it's going to go real well.
Moving on here.
I'm really excited about this next one because it was my pick.
This is Erin's pick.
Same Z's.
The last pick of the third round. She picked up Brooklyn Brewing's Black Chocolate Stout.
So this stout was the stout that I stocked up on when I got my own place, my first apartment. The only thing in my fridge was black chocolate stout.
Is
I
that
think
like
I
a
bought
rite
it.
of, is that like a rite of passage for you and your sister?
No. Hers was like a 6-pack. Mine was a case. And she had other things. She had other things in her fridge. So I literally lived off this beer. I could drink this beer every day and not get sick of it. I could drink this beer for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and not be sick of it. I think it's the best thing they do, and they should never stop doing it.
There you go.
Yeah, it's the perfect stout for me. High ABV. Again, you can't see through it, and it's not a light-bodied stout.
Is a pretty good stout. I remember going to Brooklyn Brewing way back before breweries were allowed to have tap rooms. They had this thing where they had a tap room, but you had to pay money for tokens and exchange the tokens for the beer. They had this on tap, but it cost 2 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And every other beer was 1. and it was worth it.
Oh, wow.
And me and my buddy, we ended up trying to go on the beer tour, but then we missed every beer tour because some kids from college met up and sat at our table, and then we played Kings with them with black chocolate stout.
Oh, gee.
So we missed all of the tours that day. And they just let us play Kings in the tap room. They were like, yeah, whatever. They're paying tokens for beers. It's totally legal.
Yeah.
It's like that Ron White skit. Coupons.
Coupons?
Yeah, there's this Ron White skit where he talks about going to a state fair and you have to give money for coupons and then coupons for
Oh, yeah.
food and drink because you can't just pay money for food or drink.
They had that here, too, for a while.
Didn't Nebco do that?
Yeah. Nebco had that.
Well, Nepco had a system where you
No, you bought it was basically
you bought tickets, but it didn't matter if you had a ticket when you got up to go for a new pour
That's
or not.
because Jeff Browning was pouring and he was hammered.
He didn't care. So you didn't have to have any tickets. You just went up and you're like, I have this solo cup. Could you fill it? And he's like, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was
Times have
amazing.
changed. That's crazy. That sounds like a lot more fun than just going into a brewery and paying money for it. Like, I want to go through some hoops to get my beer.
You have to throw darts at these balloons on a wall, and whatever balloon you pop is the beer you get.
I would do that.
One time we went to Cottrell Brewing, which is
R.I.P.
RIP. They're gone. They were the original craft beer in Connecticut, the first one, and they closed last year. But anyway, we walked in and we had the limbo to get in. They had like a limbo thing set up, and you had to clear it.
It was a blow up limbo.
It was a
so
blow-up limbo.
it was really easy to knock everything down and win.
And a lot of people just kind of walk through it.
Like, you breathe on it and it falls apart.
Yeah, pretty much.
Blow up limbo. It took me a second to process that. I was like, what do you mean a blow up limbo? It's a pop up.
This beer is delicious. I don't think I've had this one from Brooklyn.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of the other Brooklyn stouts that they've done.
What other stouts do they do?
Was it?
Oh, Black Ops?
Yeah, Black Op.
Oh, yeah.
That which is also usually hard to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one's good.
So I think this one is better than Black Ops.
Yeah.
So yeah, this hits all the right notes for a chocolate stout. Yeah, and pushing that burnt malt being an imperial, the chocolate kind of tames it a smidge.
Yeah, as I say, I don't get as much burnt as the old Rasputin, but I get a little bit of it, yeah.
There's a little bit more sweetness in this beer, but not too much sweetness.
I like when there's the sweetness to kind of counteract the alcohol as you get in higher ABVs. I think it really gives it kind of a creamy flavor, makes it a lot more smooth, and the downside, upside or downside, depending on who you talk to, is that you end up drinking a lot more because you just don't realize the alcohol because of the sweetness. And then you get a worse hangover because you drink more alcohol, more sugar.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to be sponsored by Polar. You know, now that we're drinking all of these beers, I'm going to go and I'm going to hydrate with a nice, crisp Polar seltzer.
Not a sponsor.
But we're open for sponsorship.
Yeah. Please send us.
Especially from a seltzer company.
Yeah, I mean, a lifetime supply of seltzer water would be just as good as money. So
That's actually true, yeah.
It is true.
It can't cost you that much. It's just flavored water.
essentially flavored. How do they get the essence in there? That's the real question.
That's the one nice thing about the kegerator having this soda water line.
Oh, yeah. Did you put it in yet?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Just the
Nice.
soda. I didn't drill a hole to hook up
okay.
the keg.
Be
beer
careful
keg,
where you drill.
Ooh.
But the soda water line set up. But ever since I converted one of my 2 tap lines to soda water, filling up the 5-gallon pony keg for soda water on tap whenever I want.
Perfect.
Way cheaper than buying.
What did they
Seltzer.
say?
Oh, yeah.
In fancy
For sure, yeah.
restaurants when they're like flat or
Flat.
Water with
Somebody
bubbles.
comes up and says, "You want flat
Yeah.
water?"
Yeah,
flat or sparkling.
flat or sparkling.
Or
Flat.
in here,
Fuck outta here.
gas or no gas.
Gas or no
I
gas?
prefer to have no gas.
After this meal, could I have
I
no
also
gas?
prefer that.
Well, what's it called when like a pond just sits and it doesn't have any moving water? on it?
Stagnant.
Stagnant. Would you like stagnant water or gassy water?
Ew.
We need to open up our own restaurant where it's like
Pond water or
not your fancy restaurant.
And then we will shut down because no one will be appetizing.
No, it'll be amazing. You don't go for the food, you go for the atmosphere.
oh, good.
No doubt. That's what I'm here for.
I like to eat.
That's why you show up every day.
All right, are we ready for the next one, guys?
No, this is getting harder.
It is.
I've decreased my pour size,
Smart.
and I'll come back and I'll
I
finish these
told you
later.
this was gonna be harder than the IPAs.
No, I did that in the IPAs too, and it was clutch. And then we ended up refrigerating them and coming back and finishing them later.
So, Cole, this one's your first pick of today. This is your actual stout pick. This is the third pick of the fifth round. You chose Luscious by The Alchemist.
So if I'm totally honest, I don't have a ton of background with this beer. You guys introduced me to it, and I had it, and I think you introduced me to it because you know I love stouts. And you guys were like, you gotta have this, you gotta try it. And I tried it, and it was awesome. I was just blown away and floored. It's probably in the top 10 stouts I've ever had in my life. You know, competing with a few others that we won't name. But it is awesome. It's out of Stowe, Vermont. You can't really get it outside of the East Coast, or maybe even Vermont. I don't even know where you guys can find this, but
We just have people that go there.
yeah, it's been cherished. It's been cherished in this household. I'm very very blessed to have it in my possession and to be able to nominate it as my stout, my first stout. So it's great.
So this is the second beer on the draft from the
It is, and I believe this was it the second or third beer that we did?
Episode 1.
Episode 1?
We did this beer, episode 1, on the podcast.
That's right.
Did we?
Yeah.
We did.
The very first beer we did on the podcast. I will not say the score.
I was gonna say, we'll see how our individual scores pan out now.
Were you
compared
guys
to
here for that?
No, they were
No.
remote for that
Remember
one.
for that one? Okay.
Oh, it's so
Yeah,
good.
I think the only in-person one is the Armada episode we've done all together in person. But yes, this was episode 1 when Mythoris had all of her goods stolen.
This is good. This is pretty good. I love Luscious. I mean, this is why we introduced you to it, because we're
Yeah, I know.
partial to it. It might be my favorite beer that they do as well.
I think it's my favorite beer by far.
Yeah.
As they do. Which is, saying a lot because they invented the New England Hazy IPA.
Right.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I knew that.
Go back and listen to episode 2 of the Beer Draft IPA Week.
Actually, Cole, go back and edit it.
I will. Okay. I one I think understated thing about the D&D episodes is that we are drinking during the entire episode. So if we get to the end of the episode and we drink the beer of the episode, there's a chance it could be lost in translation.
Yeah, absolutely.
which is honestly, as a beer drinker and a beer enjoyer, it's kind of disrespectful to a really great beer when you get to that point. But that's part of the enjoyment of the podcast, where we're drinking this the first beer of the night on many nights. So it's so good. It's super smooth. I think that this might be the darkest of the beers. You can't see through it, but it is black. Like, it is as black as night, and it is awesome.
I'm going to say it's the
I think you're
darkest
right.
of
I think
beers.
it is the thickest.
I don't
for
think
sure.
that's another scientific thing we can do, where we can shine a specific brightness through each beer and then determine how many rays come through it.
Laser spectroscopy.
Yeah, kind of like a laser spectrosity. You can measure the.
Is that with flashlights?
No, like a high-powered laser with like 10,000 lumens.
Yes, Eric, with flashlights.
Fuck yeah, I want to do it with flashlights.
I got my cell phone right here. I'm gonna take me a swaller, put my cell phone light up on here.
I got my
No.
black light in my bag.
See, you can't do it just one. You have to do it with all of them, Cole.
Ain't no cell phone light coming through this one.
Anywho.
So this is a British style imperial stout. I don't know the differences between all the stouts today so far. To me, this is the sweetest finish of them so
It
far.
is, yeah.
Yes.
I would agree.
Yeah. We're
I
going
would agree with that.
up in sweetness as we drink these.
And it definitely smooths out the bitter malt of compared to the other stouts.
Yeah.
You don't get that bitterness that the other styles give you.
I guess, yeah. I had never thought about a British style imperial stout. I don't know if I've ever even had one outside of Luscious.
I don't know if
Oh,
one
I'm sure you have.
exists.
Sam Smith's oatmeal stout?
Is that imperial though?
No. But don't they make
Oh,
it?
Sam
Sam
Smith.
Smith, the artist.
Yeah,
Sam
Sam
Smith
Smith.
is
Oh,
the
yeah,
British
that's
style
imported
stout.
from.
Is
Yeah.
it imperial because the queen blesses it, or because
Is
it
that like-
invaded another country?
Is that like being kosher? Is that kosher for British people?
We're gonna get canceled.
I think it might be British stouts. Only British stouts. This is
It would be the king at this point too.
only British stouts are imperial if they invaded another
This
country.
one's old enough that it was around when the Queen was still in power. So
Still in power? You mean alive?
No, I think he means in power. Before Parliament.
Oh my God.
I think this could invade my country. That's how I feel.
Oh, I'm gonna say that's one crunchy pickle. I love this beer. I said top 10. It's definitely top 5 stouts.
Wow.
Ooh.
High praise. What are the other 4?
I also love this.
I think the other 4 have lactose.
Oh, yeah. Don't sleep on their stuff.
Don't sleep on those stouts. Oh, I think it's worth mentioning that all the beers that we are drinking today are lactose free.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a thing about that where,
One of our members.
Drafted a
No.
milk stout.
well, one of our members is lactose intolerant to the point where, for real, where lactate doesn't work.
But we did. So a member did also try and draft a milk stout, and we almost let it slide just because then they would have gotten a 0
From me.
said member.
Yeah.
But we were all kind and said you might want to pick another one.
Is that left hand?
No, it was Treehouse.
It was impermanence.
Oh, impermanence, yeah.
Which we still recommend anyone here.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
sleep on those
listeners
stouts.
drink 'em.
But no, I say that because anybody who has, a lactose intolerance, similarly where they can't just take a lactate, all of these stouts are friendly for that. So go and try them because they're awesome.
And don't think that if, lactose is eaten up in the beer making process, because it's not. So if you're
Right.
lactose intolerant, it won't go through you well.
Right.
Your friends will hate you.
Friends, family, significant others.
Dog.
Dog, cat.
Yeah.
Your cat will look at you disappointingly while you're sitting on your toilet.
Wow.
Luckily, most breweries now are saying when they add lactose, but
Yeah.
there are still some that don't. So
Yeah, you have to ask.
if you're a brewery listening to this, say when you add fucking lactose.
Or nuts.
Please.
Seriously.
Or any
Although when
ingredient.
we were at True recently, we asked them the one beer that we were tasting if they had lactose, and they're like, I don't think we ever put lactose in our beer ever. So there are certain breweries that just avoid it as a whole.
Yeah.
Mm.
That's good.
But you need to know that. They know that. You don't know that always.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Shout out to
thank
True.
God. This next one is under 9%.
All right.
All right.
For my first stout pick, I waited a long time. I went all the way down to the second pick in the 7th round, and I chose.
No disrespect to the beer.
No disrespect to the beer at all. I have a love for very many stouts, and I kind of try to choose other styles that I think I was going to have a hard time choosing, so I went farther down. But I chose Night Warden by Avery Brewing, and I chose this because I thought I was going to steal one from Cole, because I think this is one of his other top 5 stouts.
I'd say top 10 for sure. Yeah.
Top 10. Okay.
Oh,
top 10.
shit. Top 10. He was talking top 5 before. This.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was 7th round, second pick.
Yeah.
If anybody is following all of our podcasts, we hope to be around for a long time. And I think eventually, if you were to count up my top 10, you'll end up with like a top 30.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's like, who is the one guy who there was somebody who listened to Stuff You Should Know and kept a list of all of their 1,000 episodes every time they said we should do an episode on this, and sent it to them.
Was there like a wiki page or something?
No, just some
Not just
person.
just this fan mail, just
Yeah.
sent a list to them.
I was like,
hey,
you said you were going to do all these other episodes. Because they'll like go into details about something, like here's how you brew a stout. And they're like, you know what? We don't know anything about the roasting process. Like, okay, well, we should go and like do an episode on roasting. And then they won't. Like a year later, and then this person sent it to them and was like, yo.
Or sometimes they will, and they're like, or one of them will say, "Oh, we should do an episode on this," and then the other guy's like, "Yeah, we already did.
Yeah.
2 years ago." And like, "Oh, all right."
This is like how I picked
They've
Luscious.
done so much.
Yeah.
We already did Luscious.
I've had it before and I liked it.
And I loved it.
So this is my first time having Night Warden.
Really?
And, yep. And
That's the best.
The first flavor I taste is whiskey.
Yep.
Ooh.
It's very whiskey forward.
Yep.
Mhm.
It does the coffee, like the stout flavor profile does come on the back end and tame it a bit. But if you are not a whiskey fan, be ready for this beer. It does taste like whiskey.
I might be a whiskey fan then.
Or you might be a whiskey fan
If you like night ordering.
Take you a swallow and you enjoy it. I really don't. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I drink a lot of whiskey.
I think.
That's not the first thing that I taste. I'm really like.
I get it now after I taste it
know.
again.
No, I think what it is it's the sweet. It's a whiskey sweetness that lingers at the back on the sides of your mouth back there, like by your jaw.
Where
It
your
makes
tonsils live, if you
yeah,
still
kind of
have
like
them.
makes you get a little slack in your talk. We're about to take a swallow of this.
I don't know, yeah, a little
Yeah,
sour.
no, I do taste the whiskey definitely, but it's not a alcohol forward beer.
No, so yeah, it doesn't have that alcohol burn like a lot of the other barrel aged beers. It's just it has that whiskey profile to it, and it's at least to me very noticeable.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. Is a lot of the sweetness
Mm-hmm.
feels like it comes from a barrel. Like you can taste the wood sweetness like you do with a whiskey. I really like it. It's like caramely, and it's a really good mouthfeel, and it's very refreshing. Like the water they brew with, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, I have a theory about filtered water. I'll taste something and I'll be like, you have a good filtration system here. And like a brewer will be like, how do you know that? Because you can taste it. And it's
Yeah.
very crisp. It's refreshing, as weird as that sounds, but for a stout, I feel like it's refreshing.
But yeah, tap the Rockies.
It is the lightest, I would say it was the lightest tasting beer we've had so far, where the flavors are all there, but it tastes more refreshing.
It definitely is a light stout in comparison. Like the other ones are much more syrupy.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this one is not as syrupy. It's more of like normal beer consistency.
It's the only beer that we had so far that hasn't left legs on my glass.
Actually, the side of the can says brewed with Rocky Mountain water,
Yes.
malted barley, imported specialty malted barley,
Ooh.
malted wheat, oats, hops, and yeast. So very, very simple recipe. And to Christina's point, it doesn't taste syrupy. The syrupy factor comes from other dimensions within the beer, but yeah, very simple, straightforward recipe.
You said oats?
Oats.
Yeah, I taste the oats.
Yeah, oats are.
I taste the oats for sure. Yeah. Also worth saying, this is the lowest ABV beer of the day.
Is it?
At 8.2%.
8.2.
No. What's Yeti at?
It's 9.5.
Fuck.
Feck.
Feck.
Yeah, no, this is the lowest ABV.
So I wanna ask Cole about why this is one of his top tens, because I was and the idea of drafting. We were talking about maybe possibly stealing 120 from you, Scott, but you didn't even choose it.
Right.
And I tried to steal Night Warden from Cole. I thought it would be an interesting thing to do.
Stealing in the 7th round after Cole had already drafted a stout. Totally a steal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't really paying
Well,
too much attention.
He knew I was going to take a flex spot for a stout, that you had to know I was going to pick 2 stouts.
Yeah, I did. But also, you did pick Luscious, which is also one of my favorites. Probably top 5 for me, too.
That might have been a steal.
It might have been a steal, to be honest. So, Cole, why?
I think I've mentioned this before. Did we do an Avery beer in one of our other D&D episodes? I don't remember if we did, but
I
I
don't
think
think
I've
so.
mentioned Avery before. I really enjoy the brewery, and
But
I'll admit that I am somewhat biased to breweries I enjoy. If I go to a brewery and I have a good time and it's a great environment, I will be inclined to drink more of their beer, and then you start to get a taste for it, and it creates a different relationship with the beer, which I think is very valuable, especially this day and age, and for our generation. Millennials, we appreciate all things surrounding it, not just what we get in the can, but the experience that we had when we were drinking it. And I think the first time I ever had Night Warden was actually at the brewery, and just the great experience, the great environment. But also, I love crisp beers. If there's like a crisp edge on a beer, like I was saying, if I drink a beer and it tastes like it's filtered water or Rocky Mountain water or wherever the water comes from, if you can feel that, I am a sucker for it. And this just is it just tastes like a clean beer. It just drinks like a clean beer. And it's a stout. I mean, stouts don't generally drink like that. You don't drink a stout and be like, this tastes clean,
yeah.
Just because that's the nature of the beer. But
I would think that more of like a porter, maybe.
right, yeah.
Which is a future draft.
But I just find it to be like a really enjoyable drinking experience overall.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was like, you didn't pick this. You didn't
Did you
pick
feel
this, Cole.
inspired now?
I mean, I was gonna. I was like, all right, I know he's gonna pick it. I know he's gonna pick it. They love Avery. We went to Avery a couple times.
Didn't we take you to Avery when
Yeah,
you guys
we
were out
went.
here?
That was the day we went to Left Hand,
Oh, yeah, left hand.
and then we sat at the porch, or sat at their live music thing, and
Yeah, the outdoor area.
It was right when Left Hand won the best stout at
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
They're
Yeah.
passing out
Yeah.
shots of left hand milk stout.
Yeah, that was amazing.
and I was like, oh, damn it.
Ah.
And that's when this guy came in to visit his son who worked there. And
Oh, yeah.
he's like, oh, I don't really drink beer, but I come to visit my son. I'm more of a whiskey drinker. And you know what? I love this whiskey that's up in Lyons that just won the best whiskey of the year.
Yeah.
And that's what introduced us to Spirit Hound.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've been up to Spirit Hound half a dozen times now, and that's
Because of
one
the
of our
guy from
favorite
Left
whiskeys. Yeah. No, we need to make another trip up because what they do is they do a tasting of the barrels. So you can do a side by side of 5 different whiskeys from 5 different barrels, and it's awesome because they label the barrels on every single bottle, and then you can buy the bottle of the barrel that you drink that you enjoyed the most.
What?
And they all taste different, and they put like a sheet where they have a sommelier that tastes them and puts the actual notes on there, and like you'll have a couple barrels that are like,
think
yeah,
it's
and then a
called
couple
a
barrels that are
sommelier
like,
for
oh my god, this is amazing, but it's all the same base.
Yeah.
Get out the
Yeah.
bottle of the barrel that you like the most.
You guys ready to move on to the next one?
So the next one on the list is Cole. This is your flex position. I like this pick for you, and I'm sad that they don't have it near us anymore. But
I
it is
like this
great
pick
devise.
for you. This
Yeah, I
is
like this pick for
this
you.
late this lady stout will work well for you.
It was the third pick.
Yeah,
I like this.
I like her too.
I like this one for you.
She's cute.
It'll
She's
work
sexy,
out.
tall, hairy legs.
with the third pick in the 8th round. Cole chose Yeti by Great Divide. Take it away, Cole.
To a certain degree, I felt obligated to pick this because we're currently in Colorado, and
In case you didn't know that.
I don't know if Great Divide would argue with me or not, but I would say it's a flagship for a reason. Yeti is one of the biggest and most well-known beers from Great Divide, and they do so many cool things with it. It's similar to how Epic does the Big Bad Baptist, as we mentioned earlier in the episode. They're switching it up, adding different things. They did like a Mexican style, kind of like Chipotle type style. They did a candy cane one. Listen to the holiday episode, and we
Like a
reviewed that one.
peppermint-
Yeah,
A peppermint bark one.
peppermint bark, and so
Ooh.
they just do a lot of variety. But it's
A
just a
pumpkin.
good, well-rounded imperial stout. Yeah, just living out here and drinking it all the time. We go to Great Divide quite often, the brewery itself, and I always have to get a Yeti, and I always have to get when they're doing their kind of new pours, like small batch pours of the seasonal Yeti. I gotta dabble. So this just seemed like one I had to have. This is almost like maybe if Eric hadn't picked Night Warden, I would have went with Night Warden. This is another one mainstay for us out here in Colorado that just really gotta pick it and give it its love and talk about it.
Yeah, this is nice. To me it feels like the in between your Old Rasputin and your Luscious. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah.
Mm,
It bridges that gap.
yeah.
Like I didn't know there was much of a gap, but I think this is like dead nuts in the middle.
I would agree with that. You don't get as much roasty for me, but I get a lot of bitter, and it's kind of like the phase between Rasputin where you go from roasty to bitter, bitter, bitter to sweet, sweet, sweet.
Yeah.
And I can see how that span. Yeah, that's an appropriate way to put it.
I think for me, after doing the Mexican style during the holiday episode, I think I prefer the Mexican style over this one.
Oh yeah.
It's not a
definitely.
knock against this one. This is solid, delicious.
The one with
imperial
peppers or-
stout. That there are no peppers in that beer.
There are peppers in that beer.
I looked it up. There's no mention of peppers used in that beer. I know that was a topic of debate during the recording,
I cut that down to only about 20 minutes.
but there is no actual mention of them using peppers in that beer. But yeah, this is solid. I could see why, Cole, you took this as your flex spot here. Yeah, solid imperial stout.
Solid flex too.
Yeah, no flex zone.
So I have a new rating system that I imposed on myself that goes through all the four senses.
There's 5 senses.
Yeah, I know. This is only just four of them.
Are you hearing the beers? How do they
You
sound
can't
when
hear.
pour them?
You can't hear the beers.
Are you touching the beers?
Can't touch.
No, your mouth
You
touching
feel
the
it
beer.
in
Your
your
mouth.
mouth,
Your
though.
mouth does touch
Feel
the
it on your
beers.
tongue.
So that's my first one. My first category is mouthfeel. I give 4 points to mouthfeel. I give 4 points to
Okay.
smell.
To what?
Well, that's a max out of 4,
A smell?
right?
Yeah,
Are you giving this beer a 4 points or is it out of 4 points?
out of 4.
You're not supposed to talk about
your
your scores. She's just describing her scoring system, which I really appreciate.
color.
That's a good
Color
idea
is
there.
2, and all the stouts get 2 because they're all perfect. If any stout poured
How do
muddy,
you?
then I would give it less than a 2.
What about a blonde stout?
Ooh.
It would have to be clear.
I don't think I've seen
Yeah.
a clear blonde stout.
Yeah, it
I've
would
never
have to
seen a
be
clear blonde.
fairly
Stony Joe?
clear. Yeah, Stony Joe. It'd have to be
We
clear.
did one that was
If it's
I don't think
muddy,
I've seen that beer.
if
a
it's
blonde stout.
yeah,
Fair.
We've tried it before.
it's like a muddy
I
pouring
peeped it.
stout, then it's a no-go. But every beer has been pitch black that we've been rating so far, so that's always a 2. And then taste out of 10.
Ah.
Ah, I like
Taste-
that.
Yeah.
Because taste is the dominating factor for sure.
Well-
It tastes like ass.
Yeah, it does. I like the way stouts hit you in terms of the alcohol content versus IPAs. I think there's a different
How they make
buzz.
you feel.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Yeah, and the hangover is very different too.
Hmm.
There's a reason there's stout season. It's definitely stouts hit you that warming.
Yeah, it's always stout season.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
it's
wait,
all-
hashtag
You
that
definitely
guy.
feel like you definitely feel girthy at the end of it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Stouts tend to make you feel warmer and good inside.
What? Girthy?
Warmer and girthy.
Okay. Moving on.
Warm and girthy right now.
Yeah, I think we're all there, yeah. We're on to our last one, and then we can finish off the bottles of what we didn't drink before
Hooray!
off record.
All right.
I am surprised, first off, before we get into this one, the fact that this one showed up this brewery itself showed up so late in the draft.
I think it's because it's difficult for both of us to get. Well, except for you guys. So with the last stout we have today, this one slipped, but only because, as Christina was saying earlier, it's a little bit difficult to get. It's not something that we have access to here or there
Or anywhere.
or anywhere
Thanks, Dr.
outside
Seuss.
of
Under here, under there.
Southern California.
yeah, unless you're in like the Orange County area. But
They're starting to export it to Colorado.
Without further ado, the brewery we are talking
whoa,
about
whoa,
is
whoa! With the fourth pick in
Coors
the
Light.
8th round, I chose it as my flex. Bottle Logic's Fundamental Observation, and I chose this beer because it's their best of their stout series that they do. It's the highest rated beer that they do. It's the highest rated stout out of California in terms of Beer Advocate and Rate Beer and all those places. And it's also the number, I think it's in the top 10 of Beer Advocate's top 250. I think it's in their top 10.
Really?
Yeah. Somebody fact check
I'm
me,
just
but I
gonna-
believe it's like number 8 I think it's number 8.
I'm pulling it up now.
Scott, pull it up, Jamie.
So it is not, Bottle Logic is not in the top 10 at all.
Oof, that's a bad look.
Well,
Oh.
Fundamental Observation is ranked 18th
all
currently.
right, top 20.
Fact check.
out of the millions out there. That's still pretty good.
But
Currently,
But-
Toppling Goliath has the top 2.
yeah, wait, top 2?
Top 2, Toppling Goliath's Kentucky Brunch Brand Stout
Oh yeah, okay.
and
Wait.
Vanilla Bean Assassin, their American Imperial
What?
Stout.
Oh, I thought that was Cigar City.
Nope.
No. Okay. All right.
Are you
Anyway,
doing American Imperial Stout, or are you doing? Because I got a different.
No, just
American
top
stout
250.
list.
I was just saying the top 2 on Beer Advocate.
it's the top 250, not top stouts.
Yeah, Bottle Logic. Well, Bottle Logic is an American Imperial Stout.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because it wasn't even on the list of American stouts. Anyway.
all right.
sorry.
So top 20. My bad. But anyway, if Scott, can you look at that bottle and tell me what year this one is?
2019.
Excellent. Cole, what year is yours?
2019.
Okay. So there's something about these Bottle Logic stouts which we've talked about on the podcast before, particularly
we?
with the banana flavored one that we had that we aged for a couple years. That was awesome. They age extremely well, and this is the 2019 version. So I thought, maybe 4 years of aging might actually mellow some of the flavors out.
Maybe
because they,
pre-20, like 20.
well, they
Pre-pandemic, it was brewed. So it has all the hopefulness of what is to come.
Yeah, so the bottle logic stouts typically come like real hot. They're super like adjunct forward when you get them, but over time they mellow out and they actually age very well.
Are you saying that you picked a stout that you knew you had that you could just like throw at us as like the super flex of all flexes?
No, what I'm actually saying is the opposite. I didn't know I could get it. I ended up getting it, and I can't believe that it was the 2019 version. So enjoy.
For some reason, the bottle we have looks like it was tumbled down a fucking set of stairs in a basement.
That probably happened.
That looks like the 2 cans of Night Warden we have over here.
Yes.
And the Yeti, actually.
Oh no, that
Yeah, the Night Warden and Yeti cans look like they've been through hell and back.
Yeah.
really?
It looks like the Yeti delivered them himself.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I've had multiple Bottle Logics over the years. Usually holiday time, some special reason to open them.
Yeah.
What better reason than a podcast
We have one that tastes like a
draft
pastry.
episode?
We have one that tastes like a pastry and ashes over.
You can definitely tell this is another barrel-aged stout. You do get the slight bourbon aftertaste. It is balanced by the vanilla.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably closer to the Night Warden in that aspect where it's not pure booze, but you do know it's okay, this is aged in some sort of stronger alcohol barrel of some sort.
Well, it is a very high octane. I think it's the highest octane, right?
Yeah, 13.5%, I think.
Ending these other, seven beers off with a highest octane. These ratings are definitely going to be objective, not subjective.
You're objective.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So yeah,
Burn.
I don't think I've ever been disappointed by Bottle Logic. So again, not disappointed here at all.
No, not at all. I went there. I was in Santa Ana, or Los Angeles area for work, and had to make a trip to Bottle Logic. This was a destination that I had to go. Didn't make it to any other breweries. Just made it to this one, and
that's a
I ended
shame.
up drinking more than my share. Yeah, because I drank too much at this one. I walked out of there with like probably 7 or 8 bottles that I ended up putting in my bag to check to fly home, and half my bag was just bottles of Bottle Logic.
And dirty underwear.
It's a great brewery, and this is a great beer.
Well, you wrap the beer
Well-
in the dirty underwear and you make it your own. That's how you make it your own.
That's what we did when we went to Bottle
Yeah.
Logic.
Yeah.
I'm aging it in my dirty underwear still to this day. It's wrapped in
Ew.
my dirty boxers.
We will use Lysol wipes on it before we open it.
You have to age it with your dirty laundry, specifically underwear. And that's what gives it its extra something that you can give to somebody else and be like, this is different than any other Bottle Logic you've ever had.
Well, you know that bitterness? That's where it comes
That's where it comes from.
The taint.
from. I'm uncomfortable.
Holy shit.
I need an adult.
Randy
Adult.
getting uncomfortable here.
To Cole's point, that's what we did when we went to Bottle Logic. It was about this time. It
You
was
wrapped
NAMM.
everything in your underwear and aged it?
Yeah, we
We
were.
did.
We
We
did.
had a lot of dirty laundry. And
We
we're
went for a week and a half trip from San Diego to LA.
mm-hmm.
First time. Then the second time was LA all the way up to
Not
Chico,
quite,
California.
not quite Old Rasputin. We hit Sierra Nevada and we came
Yeah.
down.
On the way on that first time, we were like, "Oh, every beer here we've had is amazing." We met some people who we brought them Treehouse because somebody was like, "Hey, if you bring them Treehouse, that'd be really good for us." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess I'll do that," because they were giving us tickets to NAMM. So we bring them some Treehouse. The guy was super appreciative, and we all got a whole bunch of the brewery and Bottle Logic, which we had to somehow smuggle home. And at the end of this trip, after we hit, 16 breweries in 4 days in San Diego?
Which is very easy to do because San Diego has more breweries than the entire state of Connecticut.
Oh no, it wasn't even difficult. It was like, I can't believe we didn't do more.
All right. So that is the last beer of week 2, Stout Week.
This is the heavy hitter week, I think.
This is probably will be the heaviest hitter. The Belgian week may get close,
Oh,
I think
yeah,
my
for
stomach-
sure.
I think my stomach's gonna feel that one more.
but this is probably the highest ABV week looking at it. So we'll quickly go through the list. the draft order here and get everyone's scores, sum them up, see who won the week, and then we'll add them to last week's score to see who is in front after 2 weeks of drafting beers. All right, so first up was Christina's Epic Brewing's Big Bad Baptist. Eric, what did you give that?
I gave it an 18.
Cole,
19.
Aaron,
16.
and I gave it a 17.
I think I'm being harsher with my ratings.
Tough crowd. Was that with your scale? Or
Yeah, it
the
was
scale
with my
developed
scale. I
between
didn't-
Big Bad Baptist
I
and
think-
now? Oh.
The mouthfeel is where I fell apart on that beer.
So Big Bad gets a 70.
Lost those 2 points. God damn.
We will go up to my pick of North Coast Old Rasputin. Eric,
I gave it a 19.
Cole,
16.
Christina,
15.
Ooh.
Aaron.
I'm surprised it wasn't like a 2.
Yeah, right.
17.
I think Christina was nicer.
I just want to state this for our listeners. I am not a genuine stout drinker. So some of the more like standard original stouts, like I don't have the
Palate.
the palate or like the profile for. So
Christina started
I'm
drinking
not
stouts about 3-4 years ago.
yeah, so my rating is definitely not something that like genuine stout lovers should follow.
Yeah, but it should be applied equally across the board, so it's fine.
So Old Rasputin gets a 67. Next up is Brooklyn Brewing's Black Chocolate Stout, picked by Aaron.
I got an 18 on that.
All right, Eric gave it an 18. Cole,
18.
Christina,
18.
and I gave it an 18.
Let's go.
Jeez.
Wow.
For
Awesome.
a 72. Tied for highest rated beer so far with 90-minute
Yeah.
IPA from week 1.
Oh.
No flex needed.
Next up is Luscious, brewed by The Alchemist, which was Cole's pick. Eric.
I gave it a 20 because
Nice.
that's what I always give it.
Wow.
All right, Christina,
I remember my rating.
19.
Aaron,
18.
and I gave it an 18.
Highest rated beer.
74.
Let's
76?
go.
That's 76?
That is a 75,
Oh boy.
Oh, yeah.
The Alchemist out here doing it good.
which actually, because don't know if this was influenced by our drinking today or just whatever, will
Jeez.
average out to 19, which if you go back
What?
and listen to our very first episode, we gave it an 18 as a party.
Ooh.
But there were
Oh.
other people.
So Squiggles,
That was my fault.
aka Ashley,
I ruined everything.
who is not part of the beer draft.
So if I
Um,
was, the Brooklyn would have gotten a 20 for me. That one was my favorite.
Thank you. Thank you.
So when you take Squiggles out, the beer gets a slightly higher rating overall. Next up is Avery Brewing's Night Warden, which was Eric's pick.
Cole? What was
Cole.
your-
19.
Christina,
17.
Aaron,
18.
and I gave it a 19.
Ooh.
Oh.
Is a 73 overall. All right.
Stouts are dominating the IPAs right now.
Oh, of course they are.
Next pick was Great Divide, the Yeti Stout, which was Cole's flex spot. Eric.
19.
All right. Christina,
16.
Aaron,
17.
and I gave it a 17 as well, which gives it a 69.
I will
Nice.
also
Holy
say
shit.
this is more
Nice.
of a standard stout and kind of similar, like we said, to the old Rasputin. I like some of the sweeter, creamier ones and the different versions that they come out with.
This is a little too bitter for you.
I still, again, for your stout lovers, don't take my score for law.
That was what Scott said too, right? He preferred the Mexican chocolate over that one.
Yep.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. And then the last stout of the evening is Bottle Logic's Fundamental Observation, specifically the 2019 year, because we all drank the same vintage
In 2024.
in 2024. So, Cole, what did you give this one?
19.
Christina,
20.
Aaron,
20.
I gave it an 18,
77.
luscious.
77, which is the
Ah.
new high score out of a max of 80.
We had 3 lead changes.
Yep. So new highest. So this week's winner by a margin is going to be Eric.
By a margin, what'd I get?
Not really.
It's
Oh.
enough. So Eric got 150 out of a possible 160 this week.
Wow.
That's a good
Cole
score.
You get a 140
146.
out of 160
Jeez.
for second for the week. Then it will go black chocolate stout for Aaron at a 72. Christina comes in fourth with Big Bad Baptist with a 70. And then I follow up in fifth
Still a solid choice, though.
with a 67 for the week.
I gave that one of my highest scores. I would have fully
I
chosen
mean, it's a good
that.
beer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just, I mean, it's all based on the audience, 100%.
It's like choosing an all-star team. They're all good.
All right. So after week 2 and 4 of the 5 of us flexing spots, so keep that in mind. In first place, Eric with 222 points.
What the hell?
What the hell? She says.
It's that bottle logic.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
the Night Warden got a really good score too. Damn.
So
Yeah.
we are out of a possible 240 in terms of max. So Eric's got 222 out of 240. Second place, Cole, 209 out of 240. Third place is myself, 208. Fourth place, Christina with 202. And fifth place, who has not used a flex, so keep that in mind, is 140 points, is Erin.
A lot of ground
Solid.
to make.
So
So-
essentially,
Lot
I'm
of
in
ground.
last
So
place.
she does have ground to make up. If she scored a perfect 80 on flex, she could have 220 points, so she'd be right there in the mix. So thank you for listening to week 2 of our beer draft. So thank you for listening to us. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, wherever you listen to your podcast. And if we're not on the system you listen to podcasts on and you're listening to this somehow, let us know and we'll make sure we get on there somehow. Subscribe to our Patreon.
This has been a Widgety Widget production.
Na 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 na.